Hey guys, MrPokke here, back with another video, and this is going to be my first impressions of Wuthering Waves after playing all the way through pretty much every single one of the main quests, as well as most, if not all, of the side quests of the current moment. I am now currently at a level 15, I believe, right? I'm level 15 going into level 16. So it is very possible to hit level 16 on your very first day. It took me roughly 5 hours to get to where I am today, just to really just grind through all the main story as well as the side quest, right? For me, I am not a lore enjoyer, or rather, I want to just see how fast can I get to the end game and just test the units there. So that's for me personally. If you're somebody that reads every single line of the story, every single line of the side quest, you're probably going to take more than double of my time, because they have a skip function, which is really, really good, right? So without further ado, let's get into today's content. Subscribe! So, for Wuthering Waves from level 1 to 15, what are my first impressions of this game? I think the very first thing that can come into my mind right now is their character designs. They are a lot more... Yeah, so as you can see from my roster over here, most of their units, they are really, especially their female units, I would just say that the character design really tickles the funny bone, if I can say so myself, right? For my current roster, I have pretty much a very standard amount of force. I got Chixia, I got a Mortife, Sanhua, Pokke, which is the main female rover, and if you pick the male rover, it is what it is, right? It's a one-home situation. Yang Yang, Baizhi, which everybody gets for free. Yang Yang also get everybody gets for free. Chixia also everybody gets for free. And then I got myself a Danjing, which from a standard banner, and my 5-star is gonna be Kakarot from the beginner banner, right? So these are my roster so far. So in terms of character design, I would say that the differentiating factor between this and I guess Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail is that the character design here, they tend to feel a little bit more mature, especially when compared to Genshin Impact. For Honkai Star Rail, maybe not so much, but especially their male characters, they look a lot more edgy. They look a lot more like, oh my god, like they really look like they mean business, right? Especially if I look at Kakarot, right? And even when Mortife, can see that it's a lot more... I hope you guys get what I mean, right? So that's in terms of their character design. It might not be your cup of tea if you are really suited to, for example, the normal traditional Hoyoverse design for their characters, right? So that is gonna be that. Jumping away from this, I guess we can just talk about their quest lines and the progression of the main story. So most of the quest lines, they are gonna be locked behind two major choke points, one being level 14 and one being level 21. So this is gonna be your main quest, right? There's going to be main quest, tutorial quest, exploration quest, as well as side quest. So all these quests, you can get by most of them before level 14. Up until level 14 is going to be your first level break. The game just nice offers you enough experience after you clear out a lot of their additional rewards, their progression, beginner guide, you get a lot of experience. You should be able to hit level 15 as where I am today, and I'm almost at level 16, as you guys can see from this over here. And my stamina is, I basically used a single instance of 60 stamina, so nothing much too crazy there. I just basically did the boss here one time, and that was all I did, right? So you should very, very easily get to level 15 into level 16, then you can progress a little bit more into your quest line. So speaking about the quest line, I'm not gonna talk about the lore, or rather the story and the plot, because me personally, I was never that big of a lore enjoyer to begin with, but for the first 30 to 1 hour-ish, when I was trying to get involved with the plot and listen to the voice acting and everything, I would say, I guess I'm not super fond of the story, because I mean, like I said, right, my main focus for Wuthering Waves is not about the story anyways, it's about the gameplay, and this is the same for Genshin Impact and even Honkai Star Rail. Especially at the start of the game, my main focus when I first start playing the game is I just want to get to the end game, I want to see what's up, I want to play the game. I don't really care about story that much. So even for Honkai Star Rail, I didn't care about Space Station, I didn't care about Battlebot 6, I didn't really care about Xianzhou even that much. Only in Penacony, when I really ran out of things to do, then I decided to focus on, okay, you know what, let's listen to the companion stories, right? Let's listen to the main story, and luckily for me, Penacony was an absolute bust. So for Wuthering Waves, I'm experiencing the same feelings or the same sentiments I have towards the game, where I prefer to rush out the game as fast as I can and skip through the story, at least for the early beginning part, right? And for some of the cinematics, for some of their voice acting, I think I've tried both EN and JP. For the most of the story, I did in EN. There's some misses, there's some hits. Overall, I wouldn't say it's the best, but also not the worst, right? So there are some lore, especially with the part where Scar came up. I think the Scar was really the highlight of this entire story. When he first appeared, and then the whole spoiler alert, right? Spoiler alert. There's this place where he appeared. I will let you guys take a look at yourselves. I'm not gonna spoil you guys, but that was probably the only highlight where I got really involved in the story and pretty engaged. Afterwards, I didn't really care about the main story that much. But again, this is coming from the perspective of someone that doesn't really care about the story, so take it with a pinch of salt, right? Okay, so that's gonna be that for Wuthering Waves story. Overall, I guess the second most important thing that you will be interested in is the combat of this game. I would say I am very impressed with the combat so far. It is very dynamic. The parry timings feel very clean. You have a lot of mix and matches, right? You can use your team of 3, easily swap them out between your 3. You can jump into a sword mid-air, into a plunging attack, use your skill, and then there's the resonance bar. You can use your Danjing, you can swap here. It is very complex, and it is not say very difficult to get into, because after you get the hang of it, you're gonna get a hang of it. And I would say this is probably the biggest selling point of this game that I've seen so far, after playing for roughly 8 hours of the time of this recording, right? So overall, I only just got my Calcro like literally 10 minutes before this recording, so I haven't been playing him that much. But the start of my team, I was basically using Danjing, Yang, and Baizhi, a full 4-star team. I still have not spent a single cent on this game yet, so this is gonna be an experience from a complete free-to-play, $0 spend whatsoever. And I personally think that the story combat is at a very appropriate difficulty level. There are some fights where, you know, it's pretty easy. I kill some of the mobs, you just spam your buttons, it's great. Some boss fights, especially for the boss fight, it's ridiculously I wouldn't say hard, but it is engaging, right? Editors, you guys can take a look of the clip over here. I think one of the boss fights you guys can see is actually not even the main quest, it is one of the side quests. So I'm not going to spoil for you guys, but feel free to go ahead and explore for yourself. I say boss fights, combat in this game, very nice. If I can give it full marks or close to perfection, I will give it, right? This is a very well-made combat from what I've been experiencing so far. Maybe we might face into a bit of a fatigue, especially towards the end, because at the end of the day, fundamentally, it's pretty much about swapping, using your skills, and attacking whenever you can, and then casting your ultimate. So that is like the fundamental line. And then using your echoes here and there to some of your monsters, some of your Pokemon. So that is like 大同小异, right? Most of the part, this is going to be the combat of what it's going to be like for 90% of the team comps, right? Some nuances here and there, so it might get a bit boring after you're playing this game for a couple of months or even a year. But for now, it is very engaging, very refreshing. So that is going to be the combat portion of this game. Exploration portion in the overall, I would say, as someone that has been playing Genshin for roughly 1.5 to 2 months, this overall combat is very clean. First of all, when you are sprinting in the overall, you consume 0 stamina, right? You only consume stamina when you dash and when you climb walls. So you can dash, run, dash, run. Only when you climb walls, that's when you start to consume them. And even when you climb walls, it's like really fast. Look at this. So in terms of exploration, I would say this feels very clean, very buttery. Maybe my only feedback is that the glider could be a little bit faster to my liking. But that's just me personally. I just prefer this to be a little bit faster. Right? Other than that, I think this exploration is really nice. There are some instances where the game might glitch out. So you might get like stuck in a specific wall. I can't really replicate it here. Maybe editor can include a clip where I get bugged out a couple of times there. So there are still some imperfections in the game as of this current moment of recording. Or you're gonna get bugged out, you're gonna get stuck, you're gonna get the animation might not feel right. So there's definitely some kind of animation bugs that they need to fix out from day one Wuthering Waves perspective, right? So overall, that is the exploration. I think another thing that they have added that made this game's exploration feel really clean is the inclusion of the grappling hook. So this grappling hook, it is basically all over the map. But the most common place you're gonna find is gonna be the town where you start the your game in, right? So there's gonna be a lot of instances of the grappling. Let me see if I can just find one real quick. Right, so you can see these little points over here. If you press T, it will instantly fly your character all the way across. It is a very long distance, and a lot of times you'll find that these grappling hooks, they come in succession with one another. So you can grapple from point A to like point all the way to the other side of the map, as long as the grappling hooks they are staying connected, right? So it makes traversing in not only in the open world but even in your own towns very fast, very clean, and you feel that this is one example, right? So you just go place very fast, and even in the open world you're gonna be able to see this. So overall, this is a very, very nice mechanic. And even when you don't have grappling hooks, you can even use this in tandem with your flying. So you can, for example, jump, grapple, then hook again, glide again. So it can cover very, very high distances, and you shouldn't face an issue where there's a place too high for you to reach, right? You wouldn't need to use Kazuha for a double jump. You can basically do this, grapple, then fly again. It's basically like your mini double jump, right? And then you can just traverse all the way. So overall exploration, I think this is also very, very up there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of character development, like the amount of resources they give, right? How well paced are you when it comes to the amount of resources? For me, I have not spent any experience aside from my 3 main units right now. I spent a little bit on Yang Yang at the start, but not too much to begin with. So right now, my only 3 units that I'm raising is gonna be Baizhi, Danjing, as well as Kakarot, right? Ideally, you want to think your plan, or rather, you want to plan your team in such a way that you're building for the endgame content, which is their Memory of Chaos. I'm going to be making a separate video after this when I actually play the mode. You are going to be needing different teams. So, for example, Kakarot himself is going to be a main DPS, and Tanjing is going to be a main DPS. So, ideally, you're not going to be running them together. But since this is going to be the early game, you wouldn't face that big of an issue, even if you're not running the perfect main DPS, sub DPS into support. Baizhi, I would say she is 100% a must race in this team, because there's only 2 healers in the game right now. You either run Baizhi or you run Verena when you pull for Verena. So even if you do pull for Verena, you are still going to run Baizhi on your second team in the end corner. So she is 100% must race at this current moment. And as we know from now, it's going to be Jiyan into Yingling banner. So there's no sustains, or rather no new sustains that we know as of this current moment. I'm not sure if 1.1 they release it, but are you really gonna not raise a healer for the next 6 weeks? So that is gonna be up to you. For me, I think Baizhi is absolutely 100% the most worthy investment use it to raise, regardless of what kind of team you're gonna be using, right? So that's gonna be that. Jumping into, like, I guess team building, Rover, I play a little bit. Honestly, really, really good, but there's a lot of units that can kind of like substitute her, because her role is basically kind of like a very generic DPS, right? But holy yeah, look at the problem. So if you really want a main Rover, there's absolutely no problems with main her whatsoever. She looks really, 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 really good, right? Also got you're gonna be able to get a Sanhua on day 5. I got an additional copy from the pool, so I'm gonna be getting an E1. In this game so far, I'm gonna save the items for later, but team building in the early game from level 1 to 15, it really doesn't matter what unit you use, as long as that team has Baizhi. This Baizhi is super, super important, especially when you face boss fights later, when you're not very familiar with the parries and the dodge timings. You're just trying to progress and you're gonna get hit, right? Baizhi is gonna be your lifesaver. Her ultimate, her ultra skill, they all kill your team, so it's gonna be super, super important. The main DPS and the sub DPS you use, it really does not matter. Just basically use whoever you like, and if you decide on it, stick with them and just raise them as your main team. So in the future, you can make them into either your main team in the Memory of Chaos, or rather in this game, the Echo Towers, or the secondary team, right? You're going to be running them. So that is pretty much the team building portion on who you should really, really raise. So jumping into the pooling, I guess you could say the pooling suggestions from level 1 to 15 so far from what I've experienced, it doesn't matter, because 4 stars in this game as of right now, they have been perfectly capable for me to clear every single boss fight. Sometimes a little bit challenging, but no issues as long as you just play a little bit, right? So 5 stars are absolutely not necessary to play the game for at least the first 5 to 6 hours of the game, right? Up to level 15 as of right now. The 5-star selection, I would personally recommend you guys to pick up Verena, just because she is our only 5-star healer / support, and her support buffs is given to our entire team. So if you're a meta player, then Verena is really the only option. It used to be Kakarot, but I do have some sort of information that he might have gotten nerfed. I haven't played him enough, but so far he still feels pretty okay to use. But another reason why you might not want to consider Kakarot is also because DPS, they always come from 流水的主席铁打的辅助. Their DPS, they always come and go. So supports, they're always going to be mandatory in your team for a very, very long time. So if you're going to be putting for Jiyan, if you're going to be putting for Yingling as a sub DPS in the future, if you get even more DPS, then your standard 5-star DPSs, they might not scale very well into the future. Look at Honkai as an example. You can look at Yanqing, Himeko, Weld, Clara. Compared to our limited 5 stars, they just do not perform as much as compared to in terms of like performance, right? So something to consider. If you're going to care about meta, you can just pick Verena. If you do not care about meta, you're only going to play the game for fun, 1, it is absolutely doable as well. Just pick whoever you like, and that's going to be perfectly capable to clear the game, because you can clear the game with your 4-star units, right? So that's going to be the banners. And then in terms of the currency, which is, I guess, related to the banners as well, I have personally just finished my... after playing till level 15, going into level 16, I have completed my 50 beginners pool. So I got Conqueror on the dot, my 50th summon, and I have now just started fresh on this, right? Remaining summons 80. So just nice 50 beginner summons, no problems. You can get it within 5 to 6 hours of playing the game. Limited summon, I kind of lost track how many I did. I probably did like 20-ish pools in total. I've pretty much exchanged all of my the pooling thing, right? So once you exchange the things, you can't exchange it anymore. So just go ahead and change this. Once again, like I said from the beginner's guide, do not spend this Afterglow Coral at all. Save them all for limited idleness and limited idleness only. Do not spend them on this whatsoever. It's super not worth it. So that's pretty much it. For the bundles, I think all of these are not that worthy. The only one is kind of like the monthly pass, so you don't really have to care about it that much. The point shop, this is gonna be from your Memory of Chaos, or rather the Echo Tower endgame content. So you also don't have to care about it that much for now. New players, free to play, you are definitely not gonna be tackling this within the first week or even the second week, right? So that's gonna be there. We can save it for the next time. And then all this is just gonna be that. And yeah, I guess that is pretty much it for the banner side of things. In terms of leveling, my team, since I only hyper invested into 3 units, they can all very comfortably hit level 30, and I can still have a lot of experience. You can see I have 29 purple experiences, which you can easily hit to level 40 without even touching your purple or your gold. So you can definitely raise your units experience. Experience is quite abundant here, especially in the early game, so you shouldn't have issues whatsoever. For your weapons, I have personally decided to not level them at all, because I'm waiting for a 5-star or a better 4-star weapon to evolve. So I don't really want to invest in a blue weapon, but that's just for my personal preference. For echoes, I basically just gave them whatever I have, and then this is gonna be the one from the event, the 5-star event, right? I told you guys, get the purple bird, super good. So I got a purple bird. Echoes, I have not leveled them at all, except for this purple bird. I gave it to level 5, and that's it, right? I have not spent a single stamina on any of my echoes, and I have still been able to clear every single content. So that's gonna be tracers, same thing, absolutely 0 levels for all of my main teams. So you can still do considerable damage to clear the team, not needed whatsoever. And the idlens, it's just idlens thing, right? So yeah, that is pretty much the overall progression for your units in Wuthering Waves. And I guess we can move on to kind of like the closing statements, which is what I think about this game as a whole overall so far. For me, I think that if you are someone that appreciates in-depth combat, you are definitely gonna like this game. It is something that has not been offered, especially in the gacha game market, for a really long time. I don't want to compare this to Genshin because there's a very different combat system, but I would say personally this combat system feels very intuitive, very satisfying. The parries, the dodges, the weaving your combos, using your echoes here and there, using your ultimates, timing, as well as all the different characters having their different mechanics. For example, Tanjing, you lose HP by using your skill, and then afterwards you can hold your special attack to gain it back. So she's kind of like an Arlecchino in the Nelson. So all these different units have their different characteristics. So combat wise, I think this game is gonna be the biggest selling point. If you are someone that is not a fan of like in-depth combat, and if you're someone that really just want to have a very chill game, then Wuthering Waves might not be for you. Which brings me to, I guess, a point that is not really established, but we're gonna see this going forward. The farming of overworld mobs in Sim Universe. So I have been playing this game non-stop for the past 7 hours. The way you farm overworld mobs is, I would say, extremely important because of this right here, your data bank. You pretty much can only progress this by capturing your echoes in the overworld, right? Your data tests, right? And if you are casual that do not like to like capture this new echoes from the overworld, and you just want to farm your echoes in like the stamina, it's gonna take a while. And the faster you level this up to level 15 is where you start to get gold. And that is where the gap between your casual players and hardcore players is gonna start to really get wider and wider, right? So I currently don't feel a burnout because I mean this is literally day 1. But I can imagine if you were to do this day after day, week after week, month after month, clearing the overall mobs, clearing the boss, because you can get echoes even from your boss fights, right? Without consuming stamina, which is really good. So whether this will cause burnout or this might be too much for players, that is gonna be something that we're gonna wait and see in the future, especially if you're somebody that do not have enough time to allocate into Wuthering Waves, right? So stay tuned to find out more what we think about Wuthering Waves. Maybe after 1 month, we'll do a follow-up, right? So that is pretty much gonna wrap up my experience playing Wuthering Waves for the first 6 to 7 hours, reaching level 15, going to level 16. My next video is gonna be tackling the, as you can see over here, their version of the endgame content, the Tower of Adversity, right? So that is gonna be the endgame content I'm gonna be trying out, and you guys can stay tuned to see exactly what this game mode has to offer for our players who enjoy the endgame process, right? So yeah, with that, we have pretty much come to the end of today's content. If you want to engage in any further discussion, head on to my Discord, discord.g/Pokke First, where we're very active talking about Wuthering Waves on a daily basis. I'm currently streaming on Twitch.tv as youtube.com/MrPokke. Absolutely insane. Your attention to Prime, and schedule down in the Discord. So we have pretty much came to the end of our summertime as well. Right now, there's also a Twitch event. If you give 2 gifted subs for Twitch, you can also get in-game currency. So feel free to follow and check out my stream if you guys enjoy my content. So that's all I have for today. All the best for your TM pools. We're going to be putting him. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.